I feel this is gonna be a street fight, guys. Like, if you guys want to see a fight, like there's a street fight, I think it's gonna be this one. Welcome to the Dream Boxing channel. We have a lot of things to say tonight. Here with my boy Anthony. Um, really excited about some of the fights that are coming up. I know you guys want to hear what we think about Canelo, his last fight. But thanks for being with us tonight.
All right, cool. Let's talk about professional boxing. No, everything else good with you before we start, Ellen?
Everything's good. I'm actually really excited. There's a lot of exciting fights. One of them being Romero with Gervonta Davis.
Yeah.
I feel this is gonna be a street fight, guys. Like, if you guys want to see a fight, like there's a street fight, I think it's gonna be this one. I mean, both of them are professional boxers. Rolly has a good record. Same thing as Gervonta. He's a star, but I feel like Rolly doesn't really like Gervonta Davis. I think he's trash. Like, he doesn't like it. I don't like Gervonta Davis. Um, People say that Rolly is gonna get knocked down. I just love that the smack they're talking.
Yeah, I know. This was one that was like postponed and now it's back, but you're right. It seems like the better ones are the guys that really don't like each other. Hagler Hearns comes to mind where they just went out, no touching gloves, like we're just about to start swinging. What do you think about the actual fight?
I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I personally haven't seen Rolly fight, but
Yeah.
I think Gervonta Davis has a lot of skills. Like, I think based on what I know about Gervonta Davis, he's pretty skilled and he has a strong chin. I don't think he's. I mean, I think people now that I see people fight, even with Gervonta Davis, and he was able to indoor people. I
Yeah.
think he has a strong chin, but if you see the fight, the sparring with Rolly and Garcia, Garcia was kind of like running around from Rolly. So who knows? Like, that's what Rolly's saying is like, hey, I can punch hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with boxing, that happens a lot. Like, one punch can change everything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Javante, he's definitely a knockout artist. It's just hard to tell like how far up that goes, size wise on the opponent because he's had a lot of success for smaller guys, Isaac Cruz, Leo, just smaller guys like that. Really hasn't fought someone big in his same size. Did you know though that Rolly, like, he's only been boxing since he was 17 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think he used to do wrestling and then he got into boxing and he started
Yeah,
doing one.
jiu-jitsu, I believe.
Yeah.
Judo or jiu-jitsu, but yeah, that honestly, that I think that might be a factor. Just like Gervante's been boxing since he was a kid. I think that will make a difference. Um, Having said that, like the latest videos and stuff I'm seeing out of Rolly the last few weeks, he looks strong, dude. He looks strong as an ox. So I don't know if it's going 12. I could see it go 12, but yeah, we might get to see a cool knockout one way or the other. When they first announced this, I was like, Tank all day. Like, this is going to be one of his easiest fights. I have seen Rolly last few of his fights. He's just weird, man. He's he's a cool guy, but he's interesting. Like the way he fights, it's a little bit unorthodox. But like the last couple times, he's looked pretty sorry, man. And he even had one decision that he shouldn't have got. Like everybody that watched it knew the other guy won, and they gave him that one. But probably to set something like this up. You go back and watch his old fights, and he's just like mobbing on people and everything. So it's weird. It's kind of hard to tell. It is an interesting matchup. I'm not going to go so heavy on Tank, but I'll lean in his favor for probably knockout, like, I don't know, late 8, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and then I'm excited what he's gonna do after this fight because he's leaving Mayweather. So we'll see. I know he's trying to fight Haney. So so funny story about Haney. That belt actually didn't belong to him. It belonged to Lomachenko, and then
Yeah.
Lomachenko became the undisputed, and he had to like let go of the belt, which makes no sense. So now they're fighting for undisputed.
Well, they gave Lomachenko, that's when they did the franchise thing. That was the
Yeah,
first, yeah. So they gave Lomachenko the franchise.
yeah,
Super, super duper special.
yeah. So, what do you think about this fight?
I can't wait for this one. I'll be glued to the TV for this one. I love Kambosos, man. I like his style. I like him as a person. I've actually been watching him for a little while too, further, before he was kind of on the scene. I'm excited just because it is for undisputed. You know, whoever wins this fight, there should not be, they do have a rematch clause, but you know what I mean? Whoever comes out of this thing on top will have all 4 belts and then hopefully fight Lomachenko. But, like Kambosos, I thought it was cool how he beat Teofimo Lopez. And I just think, honestly, I was saying that Kambosos is like a breath of fresh air in the lightweight division. Devin Haney, he's been on camera wearing nail polish. Freaking Gervonta Davis got lip filler. Ryan Garcia, he might be a female for real. And Teofimo, man, he's like the most annoying out of all of them. So I'm rolling like Georgie boy versus everybody, man. I like Kambosos a lot. I like the way he fights. He seems like a dog, man. Like he's got that fighter blood in him. So I hope he can ride this train a little bit further.
Yeah, I honestly don't like Haney. He acts like Mayweather. I feel like a lot of the young fighters act like Mayweather and they haven't accomplished what Mayweather has accomplished. He has one belt that he hasn't like. If he fought
Right.
Lomachenko, like I feel they only talk about money, but they haven't really proven that they're good boxers, and they act like they're good boxers, but they're not. I mean, there's a lot of good fights that we can talk about, like Shakur
Yeah.
against Oscar
Yeah.
Valdez. That was a good fight, but
I
guys,
love
this is gonna be a good fight. I'm leaning towards Kambosos. I think Kambosos has more boxing skills. Um, I think Haney is a good fighter. I just don't think he has the heart. I feel like once Kambosos comes to him, punches a few times, I think he's gonna like lose control because he has like the same style as Pacquiao. He's like gonna throw 3 or 4 punches in one combo. And
Yeah.
I think Haney is one used to fighters that do like 1, 2, 3 punches. Like he's not used to someone who does a high volume.
Yeah, I think that shell defense will be a little bit hard to penetrate early, but yeah, with like you said, with the volume and strength that George is throwing, I think he'll penetrate it eventually. I think he'll do well. I would think he's got a lot leaning in his favor too. It's in Australia. He's more offensive, as a point scorer and as a threat. Did you see that Haney's dad is not going to be part of this because he can't get into Australia? And then I think Ben Davison, I don't think they're letting him in either. So 2 of Haney's coaches, which is a pretty big deal, are not with him for this fight just as of a few days ago. And Kambosos even said that he stepped in and tried to help him out with it, but it didn't work. So did you know that?
No, what happened? Why?
Um, Bill, the dad, he had like a serious felony, and they didn't approve of that in Australia like years ago, some drug charges or something like that. He admitted to it. And then Ben Davidson, I think he's caught up with that whole MTK situation going on right now. Did you know about that?
Nope.
That So the guy that what's his name? Daniel Kinahan is the one that runs MTK Global. You know that they got it's like gold MTK and it's got the wreath around it.
Hmm.
Yeah, you'll notice it. They're one of the the promotion companies, they're pretty much done. Daniel Kinahan, he got all of his money in the drug world in Ireland. He was like the mob boss, like the top mob boss over there in Ireland for like the drugs and everything. Then later he got into the boxing game. And, so they've been after him. Like he's been on the freaking international like wanted list and he's still been like
Yeah.
promoting and stuff. Yeah, Tyson Fury's with him and all this stuff. So anyway, I think a lot of people connected to him are not allowed to travel internationally right now. So that's what's holding Ben Davidson, and actually like I think up to like 200 people in the boxing world right now. So that's what's going on with MTK.
That's
That's why
crazy.
I was asking you if you recognize the guy in the background of one of the fights the other day. What's his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. I wasn't talking about shoot. Jay Prince. So
Mhm.
he was similar. He was like he was in the rap game, like one of these like, mafia, rap drug type of people or whatever in Texas. And then later he got into the boxing world. So I can't remember who he was. Shakur. He might have been in Shakur's
I think
corner.
Shakur, yeah, it was Shakur.
Yeah, that's who that was. I didn't know if you recognized or knew who that was. Yeah, he has a whole different life outside of boxing. So
Yeah.
anyway, all right. We talked about that. So give me a prediction for this one, then we can move on to
I think
Canelo.
he's gonna be Kambosos' tenth round.
I like it. All right, I'm rolling with that. You said it confident. We're going with it.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
doubling up on Georgie Boy in round 10. Okay. All right, man. I got a lot to say about Canelo, but I can't be on here all night.
Okay.
He lost, man. He lost to B-Ball. I knew about B-Ball before too. I knew he was a threat. There's two guys at 175. There's another guy called Better Beef, and he's real good too. So those two, and they haven't fought each other yet. But for Canelo to go up to 175, I thought for sure that now go back to that last picture for a second. If Canelo was going to do this right, I thought those two guys on the right, coincidentally that you pulled up there, he could have beat either one of those two. I think for sure. Bivol was probably his toughest selection.
I actually don't think that's what I wanted you to say. What you
Okay.
were gonna say, but
Yeah, a lot of people think that Better Beav is better. I saw his last couple fights. He just didn't look strong, big, dominant. He just looked off a little bit. But B-Ball, he has that reach and that style, that good jab. He's range is incredible. He knows not to get too close to a power puncher, but he keeps you back with his offense. He fought freaking beautifully. So I think that Canelo just saying he's gonna go up and be undisputed at 175 and be fighting freaking Makabu at 190 or 200. Like he was just getting a little reckless, man. They just got big headed, and that's what I want to talk about for a second before I hand it to you, man. Like first of all, Canelo, not just in this fight specifically, but the last few fights, like he fell in love with his power first of all, and second of all, there's a whole lot of these like bandwagon fans, like half these kids I coach, I'm not calling them bandwagon fans, but just like if you just been watching boxing like the last 5 years, like of course, yeah, you think Canelo's the man, but there's announcers and people in the boxing world talking about before this fight, is he the best boxer of all time? Like that's how they say it. It just, a few months ago, it was debatable whether he was the best Mexican boxer of all time, which he's probably still not if you compare him to Chavez. I mean, it would be a good conversation, and maybe he is, but he is dang sure not the best ever. Okay. So for the last few years, he's been going on a string of victories. And what he did in, I think, 2021 was like he fought 4 times. And so everybody's on his jock all of a sudden, but it's like he didn't fight Triple G 4 times. He fought like these are his last few wins. Billy Ho Saunders, uh, Caleb Plant, Abney Yildirim, Callum Smith, and Liam Smith. I think he fought both those brothers from England. Like nobody on there like hard or even a threat at all. Caleb Plant was probably the best one out of all of them. He's a defensive fighter, like period. So that's what everybody was getting hyped off of. And if you go right back before those fights, he lost to Triple G. Okay. And then the fight after that, which should have been a draw, or maybe he had to use steroids against Triple G at 160. And if you guys want to talk steroids or argue with me about that, let's argue about that because he did use that. He failed the drug test 2 times. Okay, and 3 people in that dude's camp have failed for a drug disqualification, not just like been accused of it. Oscar Valdez failed for drugs, and Julio Cesar Martinez, which is a lightweight or lighter guy that nobody even talks about, failed for the same drug that Canelo was on, which Canelo failed for 2 times. Okay, so that camp was using. There's no way around that. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that road whether he used or not. He got bigger and he got better all of a sudden conveniently at that same time. But my main points are he fell in love with his power. Okay, and everybody was on the bandwagon hard. I think he's amazing. I use his stuff all the time when I coach, and I think Reynoso is one of the best coaches out right now. But in this fight, he was in love with that power, man. And he never used his jab the whole freaking fight. And honestly, the whole round, dude, the whole 12 rounds, he landed like, I mean, how many clean shots did he land on Bivol? Like 4 or 5, dude. You know what I mean? And Bivol was not stunting that. And Bevo was hitting him with 3, 4 piece combos. I mean, he just boxed perfectly. So that was a lot. I was on my soapbox about Canelo. I've been, waiting to say some of that stuff. But all in all, just people got a little bit too big on that hype train. So we'll see what he does now. For some reason, he's still not fighting Benavidez. He wants to fight G again, who's old, which I don't even think if I was him, I wouldn't even rematch Bebo just because, if he gets beat again, that's going to look real bad. So I think he needs to fight Benavidez and Charlo, and, then he'll really have some bragging rights. But I wanted to share something with you. I know I'm talking a lot, but for all these people that think that he's the best ever, I'm just going to list off a few of the best ever fighters real quick and see if Canelo is in this conversation. You got Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray Robinson, Pacquiao, George Foreman, Julio Cesar Chavez, Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Jack Dempsey. Okay, you can go on and on. So before he gets to those guys' level, he's probably, we could talk maybe top 20 or something like that. But hit me.
So, I honestly, I applaud Canelo for what he did.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't think Bibble was the best one at 175. And so Bibble had a record, I think, of what, 17 fights, 11 KOs. And then Bitterview, this guy, he's also at 175. He was 17 fights, 17 KOs. So he knocked down every guy that he fought. So I think Bitterview was the harder fight. So I think this is where Canelo comes from. So Canelo fought Colin Smith at 168, then he beat him, right? But Colin Smith is a champ at 175. So Colin Smith, when he fought Canelo,
Yep.
he had to be dehydrated.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
He fought him at 168. He beat him because this guy didn't look like he had any energy.
Nope.
So Canelo was like, oh, if I beat Colin Smith, I can probably beat everyone at 175. But what people doesn't know, and Canelo made a big mistake because they asked Canelo, say, hey, are you gonna like put a dehydration clause on people? He's like, no, I'm gonna fight him whatever way he is. So if he's fighting at 175,
Uh-huh.
that means Bebo is probably normal walking, like his normal weight is probably 200 pounds, and he probably goes down to 175. Canelo fights at 168, he probably is walking at 185. So Canelo didn't have to work a lot to get to 175, and Bebo didn't, but Bebo didn't have that dehydration clause. So when he fought this guy, he fought him at his weight with his strength without being dehydrated. So he literally destroyed him. Like Canelo punched him, and Bebo said,
Yeah.
every punch that he threw, I felt like he was forcing his strength. Like his punches weren't strong. And
Yeah.
that's the thing that we tell people is like, hey, like if you're moving up in weight, not only you're shorter, but you're also not as stronger because you're fighting a bigger guys. And that's what happened with Canelo. He's probably the best one at 168, but as you move bigger, you're not as strong because that's not your regular weight.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he was probably juicing a little bit in 168, 160. and then he probably stopped using because people are giving him a hard time now. And then he didn't use it. Then he also let this guy dehydrate. Not he let this guy fight at his regular weight. So that's why this guy literally dominated Canelo.
Yeah, he did.
So if he can't beat this guy, he's not going to be able to beat this guy. Even this guy, I think this guy even has a bigger chance of beating Canelo at 175. So yeah, I think Canelo either really like starts eating real meat and start getting strong. Because if he's doing like vegan, I think he needs a lot of strength for that. I don't know. I don't know what he needs to do, but I think it's going to be really tough. But I applaud him because he actually fought someone that way he's supposed to fight, which means he didn't dehydrate him. He fought him at his way. That's the way that he's supposed to win. Every other fight, I feel like he's always dehydrating them or
Yep.
like fighting little guys. Like this was a true fight, and we saw what happened. We saw the result. You know.
Yeah, those are great points. And Canelo does say that he walks around at 185. Just so you know, too, Bebo did an interview. I think that's what he walks around at too. So, but that even furthers your point, which was a great point too. That yeah, you don't carry that weight up in Canelo's case when he's trying to fight bigger guys. So he also said he'd been playing a ton of golf, and I think honestly that has an effect. Like he used to just stay in the gym all the time. So I don't know, maybe G will have a little bit of chance or something like that, but it seems like he's fell in love with the golf. Being out on the golf course in the sun all day is draining one, but you know, you're not training specifically for an opponent either, which yeah, he should have taken this guy serious. I want to tell you one other thing, dude, because he did dominate, man. I mean, clearly, like I think Canelo he probably won a round and I mean if you wanted to give him like two, but he didn't clearly win more than 2 rounds. I don't even think he won more than 2 rounds. Do you know what the scorecard said though? I was
I
gonna
wouldn't be
message you.
surprised. Was it like 7-5 or
No.
6?
Yeah, it was that actually. It was 1 round away from being a freaking draw. And that 12th round was close. So if they would have gave him that last round, this would have been a draw. Okay. Guess what all three judges' scorecards said? After the first 4 rounds, every one of those judges, and you saw the first 4 rounds, Bivol won them all. They all had freaking Canelo up 4-0, dude.
That's
All
crazy.
three, all three judges had Canelo up 4-0 after the first 4 rounds. And run that fight back, dude. Play it right now, and you tell me if he won those freaking rounds. Like so, that just tells you it's alive and well. The corruption that we've mentioned before, it's in boxing. It is all the way down to the amateurs. We got done like that the other week at a tournament, man, and I wanted to get upset about it and just like be so mad. And Jake's dad was mad and all this, and it went from like fun time to not so fun. But you just got to sit back and realize like it's a power thing, man. It's always been like that. Until they change it, that's gonna happen. But still, that's some corrupt BS right there. 4-0, bro, and they all had it identical, and Bebo won those rounds, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy. But the main fight, Triple G, are they fighting at 160 or 170, 168?
I haven't even looked into it, man. I saw that video pop up. I was actually on my phone when it came up, so I sent it to you right away. But I haven't like dug into it or anything like that. I don't know, man. It's just
I think Canelo has a bigger chance of being undisputed at 160 than at 165.
at 168.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he almost had it. I mean, when he beat Triple G, he had the 4 belts. Because
yeah.
he had all the belts except for Andrade that no one wants to fight. Um, but Triple G like had the 4 belts. I think Triple G has 2 belts now. Andrade has
One.
one.
Is it one or two?
He had that. He took the other one from the Japanese.
But is
Um,
that's at 160, right?
that's a 160. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Canelo
that'd
is
be plus
undisputed at
what?
168.
Huh.
Canelo has all the belts at 160. That's why this is crazy. Like the WBC is a joke now because what belt does Benavidez has? He fought for a belt. Which belt?
The WBC interim, which is like, so Canelo fought at 175, okay? And then Benavidez has this fight right now, so they're like, okay, if you're not down here fighting, mandatories or whatever, we're going to give Benavidez the interim. So I know it's BS, but that at least kind of made a little bit of sense. Okay, so what should be happening right now is Canelo, if he wants all these belts at 168, he makes a deal with Showtime and he fights freaking Charlo and then Benavidez. Okay. And then we can start figuring out who deserves all these belts and who's keeping them and everything. I'm sure he'll fight G at 168 and it'll be for all those belts. But, yeah, Benavidez is like, he put himself right in position with that. So he's doing everything he can. Nobody wants to fight him either. Andrade, I think he's beatable, but yeah, you're not seeing Plant, Charlo, Canelo line up to fight Benavidez. He had a great win the other night. I'm a little biased. He's my favorite fighter. He has been for a few years. I wanted to tell you this though too. I don't know if I ever told you this or not, but you know that Benavidez and Bivol have sparred a few times.
I saw a picture. I saw a picture, but I don't know the story behind it.
Well, everybody that was there said Benavidez was beating him up, dude. Was working him. So I'll just leave that there. Styles make fights. We might have mentioned this before or whatever. I think Bivol is awesome. Benavidez is hardcore, but I would probably actually lean towards Canelo versus him. But I think that that's the biggest challenge. I mean, we've been on here every other show talking about that he needs to fight these other guys. So a little disappointing. I like Golovkin. He's several years past his prime, but yeah, I mean, like if he fights Golovkin, who's freaking like 41 or something, then he goes and fights Bivol outside of the weight class again. Like, come on, man. You got these belts at 168 and there's like three guys that want to fight you that are the top guys there. So it's kind of crazy how the situation played out or whatever, but
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of fights.
it
There's
leaves
a
a lot
lot of fights because there's Bud, Terrence Crawford.
yeah.
So there's the fight between him and Errol Spence, which is going to be undisputed at 147.
I think they're gonna make that, dude. I think they're gonna make that this year.
But you know what he wanted? What he wants to do? He wants to be. So if you don't know who Terrence Crawford, I'm sure you guys know who this guy is. But this is something pretty cool that I'm actually really excited. So Terrence Crawford, he was undisputed at 140, 140 pounds. He was undisputed right here. So then he's gonna fight for undisputed at 147 with him. So he has the three belts. He needs to get 40% because he's done more for the welterweight than he has.
Yeah.
So 147 undisputed, right? And then he wants to go against Charlo at 154.
That'd be good if he fought Charlo.
Charlo boxing. So this guy Charlo just fought Brian Castaño, and Charlo became undisputed at 154. This is the way before Triple G. So if Terrence Crawford,
yeah, that'd be crazy. He could do that in 2 fights. Yo,
that's a crazy fight. Like he'll be the undisputed in 3 weight classes. No one has done 2 weight classes. Canelo wanted to do it, but we saw that he can.
Yeah.
Can Terrence Crawford do it at 147? And if he can he come and school Charlo? Which honestly, I think Charlo has a lot of skills. Like I don't think he's an easy prey for, especially if Bud is going up in weight.
Yeah, he would be the freaking man if he could do that. But I don't know if all that's happening. He got to get past my boy Spence first, which is going to be hard enough. But yeah, Charlo's, when you keep going up, man, there's weight makes a big difference in a size makes a big difference in a fight. So I think Crawford's a man. That'd be insane if he could do that in 2 fights, and that's exactly how he should play that because he's running out of time on his clock too. He's older than people think that he is. He's amazing, but he did have a pretty easy road, honestly, getting that at 140. But that would be insane if he could do that.
Yeah. So who knows? I mean, he's pretty close. He's 1 fight, but
yeah, he's talented. I love to watch him box, man. That dude is sick.
Because Ugas is a good fighter. I like Ugas. Like if I love Ugas versus Spence. Like he was just like 1 step away, taking the punches. Like man, Ugas has skills, and Ugas is a better fighter than Spence. I'll tell you that. Way better fighter. But Spence is a big guy. You know, he started breaking him down. Like Ugas started standing still, taking a lot of punishment. If Ugas, I mean, it's so hard just to be in way good shape. Like that's the thing about Mayweather. He was hard working. Like he always worked, so he was never tired.
Yeah.
And with Spence, Spence is just a big guy. You know, little by little, we knew he was going to break Ugas down. So, but man, if you want to see a good fight, Ugas versus Spence, especially like the first 6 rounds, Ugas look beautiful. But we'll see. Like, I honestly think Spence is going to take this fight. I think that's why he wants to get a lot of money. But what's your thoughts, brother? And let's bring it home.
Yeah, I love these two guys right here. I mean, I like Spence as a person. He's my favorite fighter. Him and Benavidez, like for the last few years. I like him. I'll be pulling for him. I like Crawford. I like his style. Both these guys are sick. I'll be pulling for Spence for sure. I hope they make it. This is one that I want to go to. We should go to this one again, man, if you can. I've been telling her that, like, we need to go to a big one, whether it's like, because I was hoping that Canelo would fight Benavidez, man, and that would just like be one of the biggest fights ever in Vegas, like it would be so sick. Everybody would be there. But I think Spence and Crawford, it actually looks like it's going to come through the home stretch. They were, just their egos were getting in the way and the money and all that before, but it's looking like now they're going to have to if they want to see who's the best, and the people are demanding it. So I think they're actually probably talking right now. So that'll be a sick fight, man. That could go down as one of the best of all time. Honestly, just the way their styles are and their personalities, and they're like just so confident. Dude, you don't know. I mean, that could come out like Hagler Hearns or one of the Four Kings fight or something like that. I could totally see that being a freaking war, man. That would be badass to see that.
So he's 34, so he's probably in his prime or a little bit over his prime.
Yeah.
Spence too. I think our Spence is getting there. I think Canelo in his prime, but I think these guys are coming to their ends. Like this guy has to make this fight happen, because if it's 2 more years.
Right. He hadn't fought anybody like Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? And he's just getting older, like you said. Like he probably is in his prime a couple of years ago, but he never fought freaking Errol Spence during all that time. He was, racking up those victories. Honestly, he's never fought anybody that hard. Porter was good, but Porter had already been retired for that fight. I got to get off here, my man.
Yeah. But have a good night, guys. Love hanging out here. Do you want to bring it home, Anthony?
Yeah, man, it's good talking to you as always. We'll get on here. We talked about Kambosos and Haney, so you guys definitely watch that one. That'll be a barn burner, hopefully. And Tank is this weekend. So after those two fights, we'll get on here again and we'll see what's happening with the boxing world. We love y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya, guys.
I was just about to fumble, almost lost my sight. Flicker to the Christ, told my troubles bye-bye. So long, sayonara, boy, I love this life. And my life ain't mine, and my troubles ain't either. Flying high through the storm, you could call me either. Baby boy, I can't beat you with your stressing and your worry. Especially when the Lord say your burdens, he carry you. Take a load off, unpack, unwind, don't fret, no stress. Relax, recline, this a Holy Spirit thing. Let the Spirit walk you through it. He'll never bring you to it if you won't lead you through it. Can't stand the rain, is the question God asking. No new addition, this is Christ and his passion. Picture this trial like walking through a doorway. Brand new beginning, leave your troubles in the hallway. It's gonna break through and it easy to obtain. When you're trying to press through, it's gonna cause a little pain. Keep your eyes on Christ, baby, that's the main thing. When you truly trust him, he gonna always make a way. Troubles come and go, but the Lord will never leave you. Have faith in him, that's the promise that he made. So trust me when I tell you, he'll never waste a hurt. Romans 8:28 tell you all things work. Best believe they do when you seek him first. I'm just speaking from experience, he became my thirst. I still have troubles, still have pains. Even right now, still dealing with some things. But there's one hope I place my all. My Lord, my Christ got a plan for it all. Plan for it all.
Trouble come, trouble stay, trouble leave. Trouble sting, trouble hurt, trouble bleed. Sheesh, all I know when it comes, baby, it hurts. Yeah. In my heart, Jesus there, he won't leave. But I doubt, cause I feel, cause I don't see what's going on in the storm. It's like this, yeah. I got trouble in the morning, wake me up before I'm nearly sick and tired of all the fighting and the fussing with my woman. I be trying to do some right, but all the right, it don't mean nothing. I be praying up to heaven and I hoping that it happen. Many times I wanna walk away and give up with the struggle, get a check and move the alien, go trick up with my cousin. Better yet, it's a petty and I'm cruising with my cousin in the country, in the dually, we rally, listen to country. All the trouble that I'm having time to. Wondering what we're going on and what did I do? People say they be checking for a blessing, they know like a tweet, bless you just like Jacob in the angel rest. So I just want on the amenities and nothing special. I go to OEC and get a crowd roll. I'm a special kind of fella, I just need a classroom. When I have a lot of problems, I leave for the bathroom. Ain't lying, but I'm better off as ever, then I'm better than I ever been in medicine, it's just that's true. I'm not addicted to the whiskey or the feeling that it give me used to drink it right under the table. And all the problem that I'm having don't mean nothing to my daddy, cause I finally know that he's able. And apart from him, disabled. And I used to act, I don't get no family stable. TMG wanna be part of the team. Better get your mind together, but we got some enemies that wanna put in anything. But can I get a hand on me? Because I got a hand on me. Look, you can never handle me, you understand? Listen, I shop it down with your family. Put your trust up in the Lord, he can handle that. Because the Lord that go before you, know what we never hold you. You never be alone by yourself. Oh, yo. Trouble come, trouble stay, trouble leave. Yeah. Trouble sting, trouble hurt, trouble bleed. Sheesh, all I know when it comes, that it hurts. Yeah. Condo. In my heart, Jesus still, he won't leave. But I doubt, cause I feel, cause I don't see what's going on in the storm. It's like this, yeah.
Look, lately been having no trouble, man. How did I fall? Been on my grind. Every day praying all the time. Calling for help like a lifeline. Never think twice, been rolling the dice, but stuck in the hype, but crapping out. Getting this out, it been running laps. Going in circles and jumping hurdles. Been feeling nervous and unworthy, but I'm covered in grace and His grace is sufficient. Stick to the mission, never give up. Rapping the kingdom, I'm a general. Walking in Christ, make it simpler. The Holy Spirit, my mentor, gave me the strength to be vital when I'm fighting the demon. Ay, look to the sky, steady dreaming. Walking the light, boy, I'm beaming. Counting my blessings, I'm reaping. Praising the Lord, boy, I'm screaming. Never ashamed, discipling. War ready, all in it. Never scared, boy, I'm with it. If I said it, I mean it. Ay, look, He's strong in my weakness, better believe it. Staying hollow, boy, you can't even see me. Heavyweight, boy, you can't even beat me. Being silent, boy, I'm all in the deep end. Face to face, that's all that I'm seeking. All in the light, did it poppin'. Spiritual war, get it poppin'. Praying my trouble gon' end.
Ay, trouble come, trouble stay, trouble leave. Yeah. Trouble sting, trouble hurt, trouble bleed. Sheesh, all I know when it comes, that it hurts. Yeah. In my heart, Jesus still, he won't leave. But I doubt, cause I feel, cause I don't see what's going on in the storm. It's like this.